So our M10 module is actually modular construction. I'm going to try and combine, or I've tried to combine this idea of working a little more with the concepts of heavy timber in high-rise construction. It's quite popular now. And so we'll kind of devote a little time here to an overview of the project as it relates to both modular construction and heavy timber. One of the things I've tried to keep in mind in this project and want you to keep in mind is this idea of lateral and seismic loading on what will be obviously higher construction in timber than the 2 or 3 stories. We're looking always at this higher reach in the industry. So we've been flagged by the and this is a link to a project. I believe this is in Norway, timber construction high-rise. At the time, it was one of the tallest. I flagged it because of its similarities to our project, the visualization of the shear walls on the sides, and also the shear bracing systems of heavy timber. So I want us to think about using those kind of concepts or be cognizant of them. So here's a view of our kind of seismic bracing systems. We were flagged by NAB as being deficient in our project-based applications to lateral gravity and seismic loading. And this is a course where we should be working with it and demonstrating our competence in it. So here we're looking at the project that we'll do this week or in this module. And the to the left here and to the right is just kind of pulling out the modules, and the look at the project is just shear walls and potential load paths for supporting those modules. And I've also included in the course M12B is a shear and seismic project, which really looks at that kind of heavy timber diagonal bracing and connection systems. In this case, what makes it an interesting project is this is an adaptable component. So if you stretch the module taller, the bracing will stretch with it. If you make these modules wider, they also will adapt. So you're making a useful parametric component. And on that idea of of connections, just a few images of connection systems. I've shown this one before. This idea of welded plates in slots into the timber and then the bolted connections. This idea of this kind of a beautiful articulation of the two elements coming together with the steel, and then the enhancement of pulling back and creating a reveal at that connection. Notice these long slotted insertions into the timber to take the loads and spread them out away from the contact point. The bolting through the heavy timber to connect it. In this case, we have what looks like pin connections. These may be bolted connections with things that appear to be pins over the top of them. It also could be a wooden pin connection, but I tend to doubt it because of the configuration here. Here's another look at that idea of this diagonal heavy timber bracing. A metal look at some of the ideas of what might happen in this kind of timber bracing. In this case, they tried to drive back the forces of the diagonal through these tension rods to go back to the main component. This company is really advanced. I wanted to spend a few minutes looking at them. They're really one of the things about modular construction is this idea of bringing a lot of the coordination and thinking back to the factory level. So they have a really automated and a heavy timber orientation towards construction systems. So obviously this is a really advanced looking factory. But when we look at modular, if we were to just, I can't stop that video, but we're talking about modular elements like wall systems, but also complete modules constructed. And they have a whole series of services to support their kind of view of the way we're going to make buildings, and really that idea of factory-built componentry at a I guess, a more coordinated way than has ever been done before. They also have support software, which is really quite surprising. If we were to go out to this, this is a branch that they have. I think it's important just to see the significant kind of software integration that they have just within their own company's project delivery. So I'll let this run through for a second. One of the things I find really startling is how they, even from the get-go, show a large amount of variation in massing and form systems. And we're always looking at this idea of the, I guess, coordination of the software. And you'll notice that the software that they're visualizing here goes from the site down to unit costing, to specific site development, and then into design componentry. And you'll notice it's almost like you're selecting elements in order to develop budgeting cost. And the concern here for me, or looking at it, is, was the architect actually participating in this project or not? You'll notice it goes into just same things that do with Revit with the idea of BIM management and their cloud-based services. So quite a sophisticated company. A lot of this based on the idea of a fully integrated, from concept to product delivery, look at architectural projects, and it should be I guess a perspective about where we sit within this whole process of the built environment. Let me escape out of that, and we'll go back to our presentation. So that's hyperlinked. This is a video to a mass timber module construction. We'll just click into this quickly. This is in, I think this company is in Poland. Here we have a fully constructed mass timber module. Oops, I wanted to show you the factory layout there. I'll fast forward here a little bit till we get to there's fully constructed modules. Now these are single-story ones, but they're still mass timber, so I thought it was just pertinent. And I'm not really, obviously not really all that impressive with this kind of architectural presentation of this. And this has a real European type of look. It almost looks like IKEA furniture. So, but anyway, that shows the mass timber going in a factory environment. I wanted to touch on the idea of code acceptance. Oops. Let me go back there. Obviously there were height limitations to timber construction, and now we're getting an evolving code acceptance through testing systems and evaluations that are allowing us to build taller and taller with mass timber systems. And this is a project, this is that housing project in Vancouver. So you might want to click through this and get a flavor for how the codes are changing. This is the world's tallest modular hotel. This isn't heavy timber, but it's really a very interesting presentation of modular construction. Once again, I think really you should follow through these on your own time schedule. Here they're bringing modules in, and obviously they're super animated there, so it's going very fast. But they're you can tell these are modules just because you can see the panel breaks between the partition wall systems. Talking about build times, structural cost. Here we get into the factory, which is really the meat of why I wanted to show you this. So you can actually see these really high-end, beautiful modules being constructed. You can imagine this kind of work happening 10 stories up on the exterior of the building. So this is where scaffolding systems and the reduction of the requirement are significant. Now this is really, to me, an important look at kind of service delivery. Here we have modules being manufactured in Poland, delivered to New York City. So they're going as containerized elements, just like shipping containers, on a freighter, delivered thousands of miles away. So the idea of being able to look at architecture as being globally constructed, just like we do in our automobile industry. That looks like two modules put together. You can see the single modules back here. So here we have, I think, a really important image. You can notice that the connector systems here are very much like shipping containers. So the whole methodology of transporting and moving these modules is exactly the same as shipping containers. They're probably no more than 8 feet wide. They can be stacked multiple units on top to be placed on a freighter. It's commonly understood how to handle these, and they're probably rated for carrying these loads, not only as modular units in construction, but as transportation shells for the buildings themselves, or for the units themselves, excuse me. Obviously, really, to me, very beautiful looking finishes to the units. And I won't spend any more time on this because I really want you to go through and kind of listen and watch this to get a better flavor for it. And we'll pick up in the next clip with a really good slide presentation on prefabricated componentry like we're going to be looking at.